You're listening to the Digital Deep Dive, where we tackle the newest trends, strategies, and pain points shaping growth across the digital landscape. From Amazon and D2C to international expansion, join our host and e-commerce leaders across multiple industries for in-depth discussions on how to maximize your brands in the digital arena. Now, here's your host, Aaron Conant.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Digital Deep Dive podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Conant, and today we're going to do a holiday preview. Lots of questions swirling right now as, Q4 is almost upon us. It's pretty crazy that we're in Q3 already. Planning has begun, and got a great friend, partner, supporter of the network as a whole, Rick Watson. It's been on before lots of times, always fun conversations. But Rick, you want to do a brief intro on yourself, and then we'll kind of jump into... It just seems weird to say holiday preview, but we have to do it.
Yeah, are we here yet? Where the heck did 2023 go? That's my first question. Thanks so much, Aaron. Yeah, huge supporter of BWG Connect and anything related to Bill Williams and the whole crew over there. My name is Rick Watson. I have been in e-commerce for over 20 years. I run an e-commerce consulting firm in New York City called RMW Commerce. And I work with private equity-backed brands as well as software companies on improving their digital strategies. So help with investment due diligence, strategic planning, and then change management. Because you can have all the best plans, but if you can't implement any of them because your staff doesn't understand them or you don't have the expertise to speak with your vendors the right way or find the right vendors in the first place, which I know you help a lot of brands find the right vendors as well, then you won't be moving forward very quickly. And so my goal is to be an advisor on the side of the table of the management team as they navigate kind of big changes in their businesses. So happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. And you have a weekly podcast as well. And
I do. There's a rumor. There's a rumor of that.
Yeah. Follow Rick on LinkedIn as well. Just a wealth of knowledge. And he just encapsulates earnings reports. We can jump into the Shopify and predict what they're going to have with Amazon, but it's just fantastic source. Thanks, Rick, for all you do for everybody in the network. So holiday, people are wondering what's going to take place. Actually, Prime Day, I have a lot of people that were, super excited about Prime Day.
Right.
Really big sales, but also they had to do really big discounts. And so that's where 100% is. I discounted more and then I sold more. Did I win? I don't know.
Right. It's my biggest losing day of the year.
Yes. Amazon won.
100%. 100%. Amazon never loses on Prime Day. I wonder if could sellers put a stop loss on their margin hit on Prime Day? I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's such an interesting day. You have to jump all in on Prime Day. And I know we should get to, because we kicked this off, it's going to be a holiday, but I don't know. What did you hear about Prime Day? Was it something?
Yeah, kind of same. I got a roundup from a bunch of folks in my network, and it was all pretty positive. Generally, I didn't hear anything about the second day, which to me means the second day was pretty bad, but the first day was apparently very good. And so I don't think we're going to hear much about Prime Day from Amazon until Q3 earnings. It seems like they're being cautious about it because, Prime Day was actually in Q3. So even when Amazon reports earnings today, as we sit here on August 3rd, we won't hear about it as part of their Q2 earnings. So maybe we'll get a little bit of light color. But I think more discounts, more deals. Buy with Prime was kind of an interesting. There were a couple hundred brands that participated in Buy with Prime promotions on Prime Day, which is interesting because I think they're using that as a carrot to help, recruit more sellers.
Yeah, I actually talked to a couple of brands who used it, and it was very, very successful. I mean, the tough part is you can't build a market basket yet with it.
Right.
But the people who used it and had it in place really, really, really liked the results. They were both obviously on the seller central side. They're on the marketplace. They weren't on a vendor side. But I've been up in the air on it. I can see the benefit of it, but also, if I'm on a website looking to buy something, I want to be able to build a basket. Now, the reality is that's not how people shop on Prime Day, right? People shop on Prime Day. Oh, I needed a pair of socks. I needed a coffee maker. I needed art supply, paintbrush. I needed something. And they're like picking here and there. And if you can make that work, and so that's a mindset, I think, that goes across the digital landscape on Prime Day as people are playing around. So you're like, whoa, there's a Prime Day discount. I'm on this website and it's the one thing I'd like to have. And it's going to ship from Amazon. Let's do it. I can see that doing it. It'd be interesting to see how that compares to like everyday traffic going forward, if that was a catalyst.
Yeah. And Amazon seems to be touting the fact that it's increasing its shipping speeds even more. And it's how it could be potentially leading to lower costs. So that's kind of like, they gave a little bit of a teaser in their earnings. They were like, well, we might have some leverage on our operating expenses because we're getting products closer to consumers with our new regional delivery model that they've been talking about. And Amazon usually doesn't talk about something unless they're ready to deliver on it. They tend to be pretty quiet about things. So it'll be interesting what they say soon on their earnings.
Yeah. So my kind of advice is we shift into the, what does holiday look like is, if you are on the marketplace side and you do have a direct consumer site, buy with Prime might be worth taking a look at. I'm a test and learn, right? I'm a scientist by training.
You're a scientist?
Yeah, crazy. Huh? I was making drugs for phase 1 and 2 clinical trials for
all right.
Yeah, Pfizer back in the day.
Yeah, we have our own Heisenberg on the podcast,
yes.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But it's a test and learn, right? And then analyzing the data and seeing if it's worth it. I know they have a big push, and I wouldn't have said that 2 weeks ago. But just having followed up with a couple of brands who said it was very meaningful, I might be swayed. I might be swayed off the neutral column. So I can see that as potentially a trend worth doing. The other one is, are we back into the deep discounts on Cyber 5, right? And are we back into the deep discounts that, start in September, October, rather than waiting for, November?
Yeah, look, I think the early discounts, that's an easy prediction. Every year the discounts get earlier and earlier and earlier. So it becomes like right after back to school, now we're in everyone's in holiday shopping.
Is that a requirement now, do you think? Like, you pretty much have to be playing with some items in that area that early on?
It's there is a limit to it, because how early are consumers shopping? For holiday, most people, until November rolls around, it's like, why do I care? I need to save some money before I spend the money. So I think that's how most average consumers think. So I think the fact, it's almost like just like a preview of what's going to happen on holiday. So you're like, oh, it seems like these things are, stores are discounting these things. I should think about this. What do I need to save for? So like, let's consumers budget a little bit. So it's like a preview of budgeting for a consumer.
Yeah. But I do think that you're going to have to discount again big, right? You think back a couple of years ago, there's a supply chain shortage. Nobody needs to discount. I'm going to sell out everything I got anyways.
100%.
And now you're actually fighting for a share of the wallet. So I think we're going to see a lot of discounting, heavy discounting again. I think people have, a lot of the inventory issues have all been sorted out at this point in time. So there's better planning that can go on. But I don't see how we get around it. I don't see how companies, Prime Day kind of showed that. If you didn't discount, you didn't have a fantastic Prime Day.
100%. And I think specifically in like, it seems like in the last year, e-commerce has been a very category by category venture. So like on one end, if you were in like beauty and pets, or like things that are replenishable or necessities, consumers are prioritizing those products, and those products aren't having to discount as much to maintain the same level of sales. However, if you're on the other end of the spectrum in like apparel and appliances and some home goods, it became more challenging. And essentially, retailers like Target that has kind of like a wide range of merchandise, basically it's like, if we don't discount, the consumer isn't walking in the door. And so they're able to maintain traffic, but they're giving up a few extra points of margin. I think we'll see a similar story this year, although I think the comps to last year will be better, because I think last year I kind of predicted, and I think it's kind of what happened, is like flat to slightly down holiday previous, if you look at 2022, kind of like how the holiday was. Cyber Monday was unbelievable last year, and it seems to be kind of the dominant holiday, kind of firmly implanted into the dominant holiday. I think this year the comps 2022, because high interest rates were still new and the Ukraine war was still new, and now consumers have kind of like annualized those risks.
All the talk of recession, hold on to money. And now it's kind of like, this is just normalcy?
I think so. So I think, to me, the midpoint projection I would give right now, with my eyes closed, would be 5% up, with upside to 10% for the better categories and downside to maybe flat for the, for categories that are maybe
outdoor,
not as important to the consumer. I still think discounts are going to be important for consumers this year, and I think consumers are content to wait out retailers until they can get the discounts.
Well, which is always the play, right?
Right.
Then do the retailers discount early? Then we get back to the early count. Yeah, I mean, I can see just from that mindset, but I also see, like, I think where you're at, you're kind of hit on it, like the necessities. You don't have to discount as much, but if you're an aspirational item at this point in time, maybe it's the super automatic, coffee maker makes cappuccinos and lattes and everything, right?
Right.
Again, it's a stretch, right? You push, it's an aspirational item. You can get a $20 coffee maker, just a pot, or you get this for $1,000. Right. I know one that you get froth milk, but they both make coffee at the end of the day. They ground beans with hot water. They're going to have to discount more. I don't see how you get around it.
Right.
And I mean, that then begets what happens with retail media. Because everybody's asking for a share of the dollar now. And I have a lot of conversations around on the marketing budget, how everybody's trying to figure it out. And so this answer they've come up with is, we're to throw it all into one bucket. Retail media, digital media, performance marketing, everything's going to be in one big bucket, and then we're all going to fight over it.
That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, I think it's a bad idea, but it's like, but it's all digital marketing. Yes and no. It is. It is all digital marketing, right? But,
yeah, doesn't always have the same characteristics.
Right. You don't always use it. I think of it like pasta, right? Like, yeah, it's technically all pasta, right?
I had never heard, I wonder if the audience really appreciates like this analogy between pasta, and it just shows where your head's at, Aaron.
Yeah. No, I think you do, because, it's all pasta and it's all good. It all can be consumed, but all used in different dishes. And so different ways of looking at it, preparing it, using it, analyzing it afterwards. And the oversimplification can't be, hey, I'm going to consolidate it right now. But I mean, I see this middle layer of digital people being removed from organizations right now. So a lot of people that are just being, in that. And so what do you get? You get the people that, so the strategic part, the people who really knew how to manage the people and what the directions was, because they're young in there and give them direction, are now being removed. And they're reporting up to a senior level who's never really known or understand that digital space. And so, I think there's a lot of reorganizations going on, and I think it's going to keep happening. And there's going to be a lot of oversimplification, right, of the retail media, the digital media budgets as a whole.
Well, isn't AI doing all these things now? Like, why, you just hit a button and it just does it all on its own.
Yes, good old AI. I feel like AI now is like, oh, it's part of the algorithm. That'll. How does it work? It's part of the algorithm. That's what it does.
If I hear the word algorithm one more time, I think I'm gonna punch someone in the face.
Yeah. But yeah, AI, man, is this supposed to solve it all? Yeah. I think it's funny because I have a lot of, and I'm all for it. Like, I think people will have a chief AI officer at some point in time because there will be so many tools that affect so many different parts of the organization. And the organization is going to have, one person to go after if it all goes sideways. Like right now, it's the CIO. But I think the CIO is probably going to punt on that risk. And there's going to be, somebody that comes in, accepts the risk for a high dollar figure. But I don't see AI solving a lot of it for brands. I see it helping service providers, right? Where then brands could pair up with the service provider with the best AI at the back end.
Yeah. I'll settle for most retailers having a chief digital officer. I think most of them aren't ready for a chief AI officer yet. So let them get to stage 1 before they graduate to stage 2. But how this all affects holiday is, look, and it's anyone's guess. And, leaving AI to the side, your discussion about consolidation of roles is a huge trend in Wall Street right now, from Twitter or X to Meta. Shopify has removed layers of management, famously to focus more on crafters. Whenever you hear Shopify management talk about the shape of the company, it just means that there are fewer managers. Is what I've learned. And I think it's a trend. You saw it in retail in the past 10 years, where you used to have, like at Macy's, you used to have a DMM reporting to a senior marketing manager, reporting to a marketing manager, managing a junior market. Like there's like 3 levels that aren't there anymore. Like you have a DMM managing contributors, in retail organizations now.
Yeah, I mean, I think across the board, as we hit this holiday season, I think the digital marketing teams are going to be leveraged more than ever. I think they're going to have to find, I guess, partly get into AI, but they're going to have to find the best partners that are out there that can help them execute at a high level because they don't have as many people working for them anymore. And oh, by the way, every other week a new tool comes out. Is it worth it or not? And they're going to have to spend a lot of their time evaluating new tools. There's so many good ones, 10x the number of bad ones, that are out there floating around. But you have to be ready to pounce on the ones that are working, because your competition randomly will figure it out. And these smaller little companies, have more flexibility. So then if you have that eating away at your time, like, I don't know. And at the same time, the number of people working for you is down. I think it's going to be a very interesting play of where dollars roll out. One of these big trends that I've seen is where brands are actually, as we're heading into Prime Day, but I think this is, again, going to carry over into the holiday season, is using traditional paid search and social dollars to drive traffic to Amazon, because Amazon algorithm values that off-site traffic so much.
Right.
And then retargeting with the Amazon DSP to send them back to the direct-to-consumer site.
Right. I mean, can anyone think of a more inefficient way to spend your money? Like, you couldn't design a more effed up Rube Goldberg machine than something like you just described.
Yeah.
Like, how did things get so complicated in advertising?
Oh, in what, 2.5, 3 years? Oh, exactly. I mean,
Amazon clearly, look,
again, Amazon wins in that model, right?
Kudos to them. I mean, they're using this to grow their DSP program. They're using this to incent people to send them free traffic so that they don't have to buy their own paid ads. I mean, it's kind of genius. It's kind of genius. I mean, I remember like 2-3 years ago, like the first sellers started noticing, like, hey, if I send this traffic from Google, it seems like my listing is going up or my buy box is going up. And that was like an edgy trend about 3 years ago. And you didn't see it, most people talking about it. Now it's like cat's out of the bag. People kind of figured out that that's what Amazon was doing, just because there's so many people doing tests all the time that, no, it's crazy. And it's kind of genius too.
Yeah. And Amazon wins. Amazon wins, which drives like people, especially on the vendor side, absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Yeah, I think it's also going to be interesting, how companies, as we hit Q4 with the discounts happen, how they remain profitable, given the discounts they have to give, how much more they have to do with paid media as a whole, and shipping costs going up. I mean, that's going to happen, especially you get closer to the holidays, but you see all this stuff going on with UPS, with, Yellow. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be, again, high sales, but where does profitability end up?
No, for sure. Look, every retailer you talk to is looking to, like, how do I find 100 basis points, 200 basis points, people are finding tens and hundreds of basis points meaningful. They're always looking for that next 500 basis point improvement in their operating structure. And I think the UPS agreement, for the people who don't have logistics automation, it's going to be a challenge because it sets a new bar for part-time workers and benefits and a lot of things, which I think UPS is, with Carol Tomei's efforts, is actually pretty well positioned. So both sides could win. I think UPS can win, but the Teamsters can win because they can send a big win back to their members. Hey, look at all the billions of dollars we got you. And then UPS could win. She's like, yeah, but this doesn't guarantee you a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the workers that are left over will get higher pay, but how many of the new workers will be robots? Quite a few of them.
Yeah, you had me think of another thing too, which was around when we think about Q4, especially as you get in the first part of December and the stop ship time comes, after December 12th, they're no longer going to be able to come pick up your stuff if you're not a multi-billion-dollar marketplace. And that's one of the things, though, that buy with Prime does solve for. I was talking with that team at, I think it was at Shop Talk, and they were saying that, because it's buy with Prime, that it will, and it comes out of an Amazon warehouse, you can still get 2-day shipping up to the 22nd, the 23rd. So you might have a selection on your website that normally nobody would ever buy because they'd look at it and they would see, hey, wait a minute.
5 to 7 days or whatnot. Yeah.
Yep. And it's not going to be delivered. Or wait, here's 15 items I can get. And I know, Aunt Sally really, really likes this dress shop, right? Then, hey, I'm going to go ahead and order it and it'll be there in 2 days.
Yeah, I do think that's kind of a sneaky benefit to buy with Prime, and holiday cutoffs are always a problem for retailers. And I think if you kind of look at Amazon in the last 10, 15 years, they've always been the one where you can order the latest.
Right.
Compared to almost any other place.
Yeah, as everything else shuts down, you can't get it unless you're out in the stores. You can still order it on the 22nd. Sometimes you can order it on the 23rd and get it on the 24th.
I know, it's crazy.
It's bonkers.
Yeah,
and I've done it.
This year even faster. I bet this year it's even going to be better. I mean, that's what Amazon is telling everyone, and I think they're going to have the capacity to do it too, because I think there's more slack in the network compared to 2 years ago. When everyone had trouble delivering or had trouble with inventory availability. Now everyone's kind of rationalized their inventory positions. We're kind of annualized a lot of that things, and because now there's too much capacity in supply chains, roughly speaking, like FedEx has shut down facilities, has mothballed planes. UPS has kind of done a few similar things, although to a lesser degree. And so retailers have capacity to grow and to, if they can drive extra demand, they can deliver it.
So is it just Amazon doing like micro fulfillment centers that are closer to the end consumer that gives them the capability here? So opposed to just the massive ones everywhere. And is that driven by way it actually costs less money to operate the facility and or ship these same day?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think everyone is pretty well aware that the biggest cost of of fulfillment is in the last mile, something like 50% of the cost. And if Amazon can move these same day facilities closer to large metros where a large percentage of the volume is, I think I read a report, and I think they just published it in the last week. Amazon has something like 90 same day facilities.
Oh,
and they're trying to like double that number again in the next couple of years. So it's kind of that combined with a regionalized sales model, fulfillment model, as opposed to kind of like one, for North America. I think Amazon fulfillment speed could actually get kind of scary in a few years, like even more so than it is today.
Wow. Well, you remember way back in the day, this is probably like 7-8 years ago, they applied for the patent for anticipatory delivery, where they can ship it to you before you've ordered it.
Yeah, I like that. I think I saw a meme on The Onion or something about like Amazon yesterday or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it shows up the day after you think about it, or the day before you think about it.
It was, everybody thought it was like kind of crazy, but why not get it closer to you? It'd be funny if they ever actually have a use case where that actually works.
Yeah. No, that's hilarious. But I mean, Amazon has to have these same day facilities, and it seems like even with their grocery news this week, some of those facilities will be refrigerated so that you could order from Amazon Fresh or Whole Foods and get your grocery items same day from Amazon in some of these facilities. And this is important for Amazon to compete with Walmart and Target because Amazon doesn't have any stores, or at least any stores to speak of.
So why do you think? Why isn't Walmart catching up?
Look, I think they are catching up on a relative basis, but Amazon is just so far ahead. And so if you kind of look at the GMV growth rate in the past year or two, Amazon GMV growth has been faster than Amazon. Or Walmart GMV growth has been faster than Amazon, but Amazon is just so much bigger. I mean, historically, it's been like, 6 to 10 times bigger than Walmart online. And so Walmart just got a much later start.
Yeah, I mean, they're still bigger than Amazon, right? Which is, as a whole.
Yeah.
And I'm actually rooting for Walmart. I am rooting for Walmart. We need that player in the room. It's just interesting how still all the talk is around Amazon. Decade later, from everybody getting frustrated saying, Walmart, let's get it together. And I mean, I do think they're trying, and I do think they win in the end, right? I think they have a long-term business model. You've got Jeff Bezos who's saying, hey, I don't know I can't remember what his comment was, average company lasts 30 to 40 years. So, I mean, 30 years isn't that long from when they kicked this off. So maybe around the corner, or maybe it just means they get broken up, right?
He's off cruising around.
Oh my gosh. He's doing okay. He's doing okay.
He's doing fine. Don't shed any tears, Jeff.
What other things pop up? Like, what else is top of mind? I mean, people you're talking to, like, are there other big topics? I think the recap here is, I think digital marketing in Q4 is going to be harder than it's ever been. You have to be more diligent with your dollars. I think you're going to have to discount more than you have the past couple years, just from the standpoint of, you're going to want to watch that. You don't want to go negative, but to move enough product, depending on the category you're in, you're going to have to discount a little bit more. I think it is going to be a good Q4. I would say your 5%, is probably, it might even be a little low. I don't know. It might hit 7. I kind of ran for everybody in that spot, but I think 5 is a great guess. If I had to put money, it'd probably be right on 5 too. And I think people are going to have to start those plans in execution in September this year. That's the reality. I
think holiday is going to hit us sooner than we thought. And
August. I don't know how we're
the big question is there going to be another Prime Day in October this year? Like Amazon does sometimes. And
that was kind of a bust last year, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Amazon won.
Yeah, Amazon. Amazon always. Yeah, I don't know how many people really pour into that one as a whole. I think next year people will really again pour in. I think Prime Day in the summer is back. I don't know about this second one. I almost think that the second one last year was because the one in the summer was so low. But I think that's it. A good recap. Like, what other things are popping up that should people be aware of? Or, I mean, I've been picking your brain. Like, you have any questions?
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I think there's one trend that's come up in the last couple of years is headless e-commerce. And I think a lot of organizations have been evaluating headless. And I see it's appropriate for quite a number of people, but it's also not appropriate for a lot of people. And I think what I've seen this year is like some organizations realize it's like, this might be too much for us. Like, we maybe need something simpler, easier to maintain, than bringing in all these vendors and distributing them. We might need closer to something for an all-in-one solution. And so I think the people who maybe made a bad decision because it wasn't a fit for their infrastructure, organization, talent, investment, commitment, are reconsidering some of those thoughts.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Headless was that
same thing with your brands.
Yeah, I mean, headless. I mean, when you look at it on the surface and you get the first sales pitch, hey, wouldn't you like the flexibility to use any vendor you want? Yeah, I would love that. Right? That sounds fantastic. But on the back end, the amount of work that it takes to validate, to get them in the system, even corporately, if you're on an enterprise level, forget about it. Everybody's got to be integrated. Where does that fall in the IT project management worksheet, for categorization and prioritization? And then do you have the right staff internally to implement it all? Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's a lot of people that just want the out of the box, right? Like, just give it to me. I want to play in this little ecosystem. And I know everybody that you've plugged in works. Let's roll with that, right?
Right.
And a lot of these cool new vendors, they start off, who was I talking to? PDQ, pretty damn quick. Mm-hmm. Shipping software, our friend Corey over at DaVinci hit XME to Avi. And he's just on Shopify right now. Just in Shopify. So if you're anywhere else, you don't get the best tool.
Right.
You just don't get it.
Yeah. It's crazy. And kind of speaking of Shopify's, they just dropped a pretty killer earnings in this last week, and doesn't seem like they'll be slowing down anytime soon. I think the CFO is happy that he doesn't have to talk about fulfillment anymore.
Yes, right.
It's like, you guys get what? You guys did what? And he came on. It's like, no, we got to get rid of this.
Yes. we don't do this, right? I mean, think about it. At the end of the day, I mean, Shopify, a lot of it is a payments platform. I mean, just the reality, and they make a ton of cash there,
right?
And why would you? I mean, fulfillment is messy. It's messy.
It's so painful. A bunch of software engineers do not want to think about fulfillment.
No, and every company wants to outsource it, right?
I'm excited to see Shopify get back to its kind of roots in e-commerce innovation and thinking about its, improving the lives of developers, because I think that's something that they seem to have really invested more in the last couple of years with like hydrogen and oxygen. And now they're trying to think about like, how can we be like a much better developer platform than we were in the past and have like just enough flexibility to do this. I don't think they're at those enterprise use cases quite yet. I think they're trending in that direction, but look out when they do.
That would be great. I mean, if they can swim upstream, because right now, big commerce is crushing it there. The shopware trying to break in, I don't know if they can or not, but they've got a really cool platform.
Yeah.
But like we were talking about, like a headless, like a composable commerce, like a commerce tools.
Yeah. Commerce tools has done well in that segment.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the largest companies. And they don't play downstream. They don't try to, right?
Yeah. It's really funny when you talk to them, like, if we show up and these guys are in the room, somebody's in the wrong room.
Yeah, exactly. So it's hilarious.
Awesome. Well, any questions you have for me as we get to the end here?
I think this is good. How are people thinking about, have you gotten to ask brands about their IT budgets for next year? Or like what are they looking at next year? What are they buying more of? What are they buying less of?
Right now, I have a lot of people just looking at ad tech platforms. They got to figure it out. There's a replatforming play that's out there right now. And so what do I have to get? How does that affect my overall, integration and transfer? So replatforming is a big thing.
When you say replatforming, like what platforms you mean in particular? Like they're on this like SAP or Oracle or type situation, or is it something, or it's like Magento, or like where are they?
Well, it's either a custom made and they've adhered to that for so long that this is the best, and now they're just getting smoked. Right. It's 10 years ago, custom was fine, right? You could actually be a leader in the custom, and now you can't keep up because there's so many new tools popping up. You can't use. Right. And it's
more. Yeah, I firmly believe that it's like when you're choosing a platform, it's as much or more about the ecosystem of partners and apps that are pre-integrated to it, or if not pre-integrated, at least like the SIs or system integrators have done the integrations to the things that you are most likely wanting to do, rather than you're paying them to learn how to do it for the first time, which is what everyone used to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's the old Magento, whatever, Adobe Commerce side. I mean, it's the cost of ownership of that is so high, and the SIs for everything that comes out costs so much, right? Because if you have an SI for Adobe, like they're priced like Adobe's.
It's more expensive.
Yes.
It's more expensive. There's no way around it. It has to be more expensive.
So number one, how do I get to a better platform? And what does that look like? And that's where I think like the trend that you're seeing, which is people are looking at the headless, they're actually doing the deep dive. Maybe they got sold on headless, right? And then a lot more people are being a lot more diligent on those RFPs and what they look like, because they know they've already been burned once and they know what to look for and to ask for, which really helps. I mean, the tough part is if you're just thrown in, and you have to do an RFP and you don't know the questions to ask, right? Then you don't get the answers you need to get. And, and so that is a big one if we're thinking about on the IT side. The other one is what does a digital marketing tool look like? Whether it's a PackView or a Sky, how can I get that in to crunch all the data, give me real-time data? And then you have all these other players behind it that are going to give you marketing data, share of shelf, share of voice, all those fun tools. And there's not one that does it all right now. So now they're trying to do, who covers 80% of what I need based on who it is. So I know from that tech side, people are looking for it. Actually, on the supply chain side, there's a new AI tool. Like, how do you manage your sourcing, your procurement as a whole, which a lot of people have been overlooking that. I mean, if you can save 5%, huge for these larger organizations. And so there's some cool new people that are popping up there to just use AI to make better decisions or give you better offers or monitor, moves or changes in the market to alert you to maybe you want to look at the resin for your bottles, right? Whatever it might be.
Right.
That's stuff that's people are looking at. It's
That's
better
great.
data saving money. Better data saving money.
Yeah. Do you find that more often than not, people are trying to save money and grow revenue at the same time, or is it more focused on saving money only, or they're in the revenue growth camp?
Well, I think they're focused on growing revenue, but it's not happening, or it costs more than it ever cost them before to get people. So the conversations just on the digital strategy side are lifetime value of the customer, loyalty, rewards programs, conversion at checkout. It's like, what's there that I spent so much money getting the customer to the site.
Right.
How do I convert, make sure I can minimize the friction and maximize the lifetime value? So because that's slowing down, they don't want to give up overall, EBITDA, right? They still want to have the profit pot at the end of the day. If I'm not having that uptick in sales, I'm still interested in growth. It's just harder to do. What are the other things I need to focus on to make the overall cost of doing business lower? And that's where, if you can find ways to, shave out money on your sourcing, your raw materials, your procurement, how quickly things are made, indices in the market that are changing. You want to do it. And if you want to know, hey, where do I spend money? Where is it actually working? What nobody has yet is a multi-touch attribution tool for across all digital.
I feel like we've been talking about that for like 20 years now.
If you come up with it, it's $1 billion company, instantly $1 billion company.
Right. No, it's crazy. No, I mean, I think these trends are all interesting. I see definitely a lot of people focus on the bottom line. Clearly, they're also focused on revenue growth, but if your cost to get that revenue growth scales linearly with the revenue growth, it's like a non-starter. And so people are looking for revenue growth, but with some kind of leverage such that their expenses don't continue to grow indefinitely to capture that revenue. So it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's the tough part, just where I spend a lot of my time now, in helping people on the digital strategy or partner selection side, is aligning them with the right partner, right? Like, just because they're the best one out there doesn't mean they're the best one for you, right? So people think just because they're paying more, it's going to be the best, or maybe they were previously at a large CPG brand and now they're at a smaller one. Hey, we should still go with XYZ because they're the best. It's so easy to change platforms now, even from different loyalty platforms, different syndication platforms. It's relatively easy. Just go with the best one for you. And when you outgrow them and jump to the other one. But it's just, we're still in this mindset of it's super, super painful to switch any kind of provider.
Yeah.
And not.
It's easier than it used to be.
Yeah. Even re-platforming. Right? You can do it relatively quickly.
Yeah. Let's not go that far,
maybe. Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of like way old, like Kibo Mozu going to Magento.
Yeah.
Oh, what a nightmare.
All right, Magento 1 to Magento 2 even.
Yo, yeah. I didn't understand that one. That was so funny. Like, how about we make the upgrade a complete re-platform?
That was one of the biggest all-time upgrade flubs in e-commerce history.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So much fun, my friend. Always great connecting with you. We'll have you back on for sure multiple times, but especially we should do a holiday recap for sure. Probably have you on before then, but
it's coming up soon.
So anyways, thanks again, Rick. You're fantastic. With that, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Digital Deep Dive. Thanks everybody for tuning in.